Can you build muscle with calisthenics? Well, there's bodybuilders and there's calisthenics people. At the end of the day, it's just a matter of preference. A calisthenics physique or someone that does the sport of calisthenics, they may have muscle, but doesn't mean that's the original intention. Whereas you have the sport of bodybuilding and they have muscle and it is their intention. Kind of see the difference there.
Yeah, but the muscle you gain is also very different in both of those.
Yeah, you could argue that bodybuilders gain less functional muscle.
But they gain more muscle.
Yeah,
on paper.
because they're targeting each individual muscle rather than targeting groups in a compound fashion. So generally the muscles can work, there's more isolation of the muscle. So usually you can target muscles a little bit more, but once they're all working together, they tend to be less efficient because the body becomes good at what it does, right? So if you're isolating one muscle, it'll become quite good at working in isolation, but not together with other muscles. So in a sense, less functional.
Yeah, for sure. It just comes with intention as well. Like, of course, both sports have a certain aesthetic, but with bodybuilding, you're trying to just blow up your proportions and then make everything symmetrical and look cohesive. Whereas in calisthenics, your version of aesthetic is a straighter handstand or a more protracted looking planche or a nicer looking front lever. And then the muscles just come as a byproduct. But in terms of the look of the actual muscle, I think with calisthenics, it's going to seem like everything's a little bit more dry and shredded. And that's not because of how the muscle is built, but just because being more lean and being more dry is going to help you with performance. Whereas bodybuilders, their muscles would look better because they're more filled up with water, because they're getting a pump, and they're feeding themselves with more carbohydrates before workouts to really facilitate all that metabolic stress. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'd agree. It really just, yes, you can build muscle with calisthenics, 100%. But if you want to look like a bodybuilder, you obviously just have to do bodybuilder stuff. But if you're happy with just more, in what I would say is more like the physique of like an athlete or just a more regular fit human, you can definitely still achieve that with calisthenics.
You said something pretty interesting the other day. You were like,
Okay, so I was talking to one of our mates who was trying to put on some size to help with calisthenics. And I said, if you want to get really good at Cali, you got to train like a Cali athlete. If you don't go to the gym to look like a sprinter, you sprint to look like a sprinter. You don't go to the gym to look like a gymnast, you do gymnastics to look like a gymnast. So whatever sport you want to do, just train that and you'll get that physique. Don't try get it through like lifting weights to look that way. Just train the sport and you'll look that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people think about it very backwards in that they'll lift weights because they want to put on size, but they're missing the component where if you're not strong, it limits your ability to gain size, right? Because you need your strength to go up so you can get more hypertrophy, because to get hypertrophy, you're lifting more weight over time, you're progressively overloading. So to overload, your strength naturally has to go up with your hypertrophy. So if you're not also addressing the strength component, your hypertrophy will be limited, which is where I think if you want to gain hypertrophy, you also need to be gaining strength, but it doesn't necessarily work the other way around. If you're gaining strength, you can get real strong, but your muscle size can stay exactly the same. That's why you see these people that are really small and yet they can outlift people 20, 30 kilos heavier than them. Or I can go to the gym and potentially outbench someone that's like 20 to 30 kilos more than me because I train for strength. So if you want to gain muscle, you should also be training strength as well as hypertrophy.
Yeah. I think the obstacle that beginners run into is the fact that it's so easy to progressively overload in bodybuilding. It's almost like a game because you just have the weight collars and you just go down whenever you can do the same amount of reps, or you can maintain it throughout all the sets that you're doing, and you just go down and down and down, and you're lifting more and more and more. But with calisthenics, it's not that black and white. You get to a point where if you do more than 15 reps, you're going to be utilizing different energy systems, which isn't as efficient for hypertrophy. So that's when you have to get more creative with different leverages, different mechanics, uses of range of motion. You have to, do more explosive work or do some drop sets to build muscle. But then again, like if you're that deep into the game and you can already do more than 15 pull-ups, is your goal really to gain muscle, or is it to just get a different skill like a muscle up or a handstand push-up, and the muscle that you pack on isn't really that important anymore? Yeah.
Another component to address as well, which is very important, is that I believe hypertrophy is somewhat limited by your genetics, whereas strength, there's less limitation on it. So you can be extremely weak in the beginning, but then get very strong later on with the right training. But if you're naturally skinny, sure, some people can still get big, but the portion of people that are able to do that is like drastically less. Like if you naturally have a skinny, what's the term? If you're like an endomorph where you burn through energy very easily and you're naturally skinny, you tend to have a much harder time to get out of that anyway. So whereas you can still get really strong, but you still might look skinny. Whereas you got other people that can gain weight very easily, but then it's very hard for them to slim down, cut down. So hypertrophy for them would be way easier. So I think there's a massive genetic component when it comes to building muscle size, whereas with strength, it's less. So.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Usually when people ask this question, can you build muscle with calisthenics? I just think back to my journey when I first started, because I didn't want to build any muscle. Like I didn't really care about how big my shoulders looked or how big my biceps were. I just wanted to have abs, because I was like skinny fat, as people will call it. I just wanted to have a six pack because that's like a trophy. But then I did calisthenics because it was like a video game and I just wanted to progress through the stages. But as I went to the park and I started doing more than 15 pull-ups, more than 20 dips, started doing lots of rows and lots of push-ups, then I just naturally ate more as I focused on strength. And in order for me to get stronger, my body just responded by eating more. And so then I just naturally gravitated towards building muscle unintentionally, because I was just latching onto those strength goals instead of just chasing aesthetics and doing isolated body movements.
I was exactly the same. Yeah. When I was obsessed with gaining weight, I did gain weight, but there was a lot of fat as well. It's kind of like chubby and you don't really look like an athlete as well, even though you're training as hard as possible, potentially every day, and you're putting in so much effort to eating all this food. Once I stopped focusing on that and focused on just getting strong with calisthenics because it was more enjoyable, my physique became way better. Leaned down a little bit, but muscles popped more, obviously. And I got way stronger as well. So my strength went up so much and my physique got better, but I was only focusing on the strength. So I would say strength is more so a prerequisite rather than getting the hypertrophy to then get the strength. I would say focus on the strength first, because that's a good foundation, and then you can complement it with hypertrophy alongside. So you could do like some, low rep training for your strength and then complement it with some easier high rep stuff towards the end of your sessions, or have separate split days if you wanted.
Yeah. There's so many kids just on the Discord asking, how do you build muscle? How do you build muscle?
Just train.
Yeah, just train. Just do what you're doing.
Yeah, don't think about it.
Yeah.
The less you think, the better it is when it comes to trying to get in shape and put on weight. There's no like secret. It's just if you're starting like that young and you want to try grow some muscle, just start doing some push-ups and pull-ups. That's it. There's no like secret technique that you do to get bigger back or stronger core or bigger biceps. You just do a pull-up or a push-up.
Yeah. You're going to thank yourself in the future as well, because when you're that young, everything you do is not really great for the aesthetic of, just looking nice, because you've just got so much fluff on you, like baby fat. And it's not until your muscles actually mature and you get a little bit more testosterone in you and you've been in the game for about 5-8 years that you'll start looking like a Greek god. Because people that are older just effortlessly look way cooler than even us right now.
Oh, for sure. You mature so much more with your muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd also say, if you start younger, you're going to set yourself up really,
for sure.
Good foundation,
really well.
good base.
Yeah.
Really well. I feel like the later you start, the harder it is to get your body to change. Yeah.
My outlook on Cali was different to you. Like you guys mentioned being a little bit fluffy. I was the complete opposite. I was like the really skinny guy.
Yeah, and I was skinny too.
Yeah, like I had zero fat on me. It's like I had default abs when I was younger, but for me, like you guys mentioned, wanting abs, mine was like I want like a bicep little bump in my arms chilling. That's what I wanted for ages.
Yeah.
So it was just the same thing, just do like your pull-ups and stuff, and it eventually came. It happened one day.
What about like all these bodybuilders getting into calisthenics? It's like a turnaround nowadays in social media.
I feel like more people are just realizing that it's better to be more functional than just like look big,
Yeah.
And also because it's not
healthy.
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bodybuilding, just because, unless you're doing it naturally, of course. But if you want to compete at a high level, you're pretty much expected to take PEDs.
Yeah.
Whereas calisthenics, you can compete high level and not have to take any PEDs, even though maybe a small portion of
I'm sure it would help if people
would,
did take them, but it's
but
not as,
most people, you can
You can
easily get to a
achieve-
high level.
yeah,
without
you can
having to
achieve a
take
lot
anything,
without
whereas,
wanting to take
bodybuilding
anything.
is just not
Yeah.
really like that.
If you can bench 100 kgs and not do 10 pull-ups, then you're missing the point on fitness. It's just not on. If you can just, 2 wheels, boom, but you can't even pull yourself up.
Yeah.
In our opinion,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just because
We care about function more.
functionality is important to us
Yeah.
for sure. That's why I love bodyweight sports,
Yeah.
fighting, running, gymnastics, calisthenics, because it all teaches you functional skills.
Yeah. Like when you go cliff jumping at Jerusalem Bay, there's not going to be a barbell there for you to bench. Like
Yeah.
you're going to
No.
be climbing up the rope to get to the top of
Yeah.
the cliff to send another double.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the main point though from all this is yes, you can build muscle from doing calisthenics, but you won't look like a bodybuilder. If that's kind of the idea or vision that you have for yourself, calisthenics probably isn't the sport for you then. But if you just want to build just a pretty fit athletic physique, calisthenics is definitely the way to go, in my opinion.
What would you say is the difference in physique and aesthetic between a gymnast and a bodybuilder?
A gymnast looks functional.
Well, I guess a gymnast has a lot of relative strength. That's what's key. Whereas a bodybuilder is aiming for, they might have better absolute strength. So a gymnast would, appear more lean, appear more muscular in photos. They'll probably appear way more jacked because in photos it's hard to tell how big someone actually is. Whereas you look at a bodybuilder, it depends to what level you're talking about, but as a bodybuilder, you could have a great physique and it might be a little bit harder to tell, but they might just be a bigger mass than the gymnast. But the gymnast doesn't train to look good though, but the bodybuilder will.
I've been to multiple bodybuilding shows, and even within that community, the person that is shredded year round is always going to look way more better than the person that got shredded 3 months before the show, even if they're the same body fat percentage. It's like so nuanced, but like it just makes sense. And when you see it in real life, you can obviously tell who's been more conditioned. in terms of the sport of gymnastics, you can't switch between being fat and fit. You have to stay shredded, or else you can't actually perform the movements within the sport. So in that sense, I think a gymnast has like a better look about them because they're just so used to being in that shredded state.
Plus, it just doesn't fluctuate as much.
Yeah, yeah. Like whenever I look at a gymnastics physique, it looks so controlled. Like everything's just put
it's
together.
Hard to explain. But
Yeah, yeah. It's so weird.
It's also tends to be proportional, unless they don't hit legs.
And they have massive biceps from rings.
Yeah.
What about diet?
What about it in terms of comparison between bodybuilding and Cali?
Yeah, like lots of bodybuilders, the muscle that they gain, like on photos, it's mostly just fluff, eh? It just looks more fluffy, and it's really easy for people that are beginners to confuse themselves with having like bigger muscle size and like in pictures and like actual muscle. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it is actual muscle at the end of the day, but are you referring to the fact that it's not as functional, the muscle? Like it's just look, and then when it comes to functionality, they're not as strong as they appear. Is that what you mean?
I mean, there's a term going around about fluffiness, like with bodybuilders, like the muscles just look fluffy, and then there's also like that huge debate between myofibrillar hypertrophy and sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, and just like whether you should just do strength compound lifts, strength like rep range compound lifts, or do more higher reps and get like a pump. Just lots of topics to talk about in terms of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't know the specific breakdown of the muscle itself, whether it's different between them, but bodybuilders would tend to have a little bit more fat around them. So that's probably what would make them appear fluffier.
It's not as diced or lean or...
Yeah, because, I mean, if the gymnast has fat, every ounce of fat they have in their body is going to hinder their performance, whereas the bodybuilder are not hindered by any fat mass they have.
If anything, it helps them push weight.
Yeah, if anything, it'll help them for lifting more because, more mass will move more mass. So they probably just appear that way just because they have probably a lot more high body fat percent.
Yeah.
Generally year round, except for, when they're about to go into shows.
Do you think when people start out wanting to build muscle, should they do bodybuilding style or calisthenics style training? Like say like a 14-year-old came up to you and was like, I want to get muscle.
I would say start by working on your strength. And you can do that with calisthenics or you can do that with weights. With weights, obviously just keep the reps lower. And then calisthenics, I mean, it's just high intensity for short durations, which is, if you're learning any skills, you have to basically train that way to unlock the skill. Otherwise, you just won't, you can't do like a 30-second band front lever to unlock front lever. So you will naturally get stronger by training calisthenics, but with weights, you won't always necessarily get much stronger. You will gain some strength in the beginning, but you can just keep lifting lightweight for high rep ranges and you'll just plateau and sit there for ages. Yeah. Whereas in calisthenics, you just won't get any skills unless you actually get stronger.
What I really like to do for my beginners when I like train people face to face, I don't do this for online because most people online just seek advice from me in terms of skills and not just actually starting out, but kind of just condition yourself to endure the pain. Because if you're going from someone that's not motivated to someone that wants to build a routine and start changing their life, there's going to be a barrier to entry, which is like soreness when it comes to training and like calluses on your hands. So it's a good idea to just put yourself through a little bit of hurt. Like instead of thinking about, oh, I'll do 3 sets of 8 to 12 of this machine and use this weight and do that, just simply try to do 50 push-ups in a row with clean form. Like just have that goal. And although it's not like efficient for muscle growth, you just have something that you can climb towards. And when you achieve it, you're like, oh, I hit that number. And then you'll look at yourself in the mirror and you'll see all the newbie gains. And you'll literally look bigger if you went from not being able to do a single push-up to being able to do 50 push-ups in a row. And it doesn't matter how you train it, whether you break it up into different sets or if you do push-ups just when you get out of bed and then you keep progressively doing it until you get 50 push-ups. If you just get 50 push-ups, you're going to look jacked. Same way as how if you try to get to 10 pull-ups, no matter how you do it, when you hit that 10 pull-ups clean, your physique's going to look much better and you're going to have built the discipline and you're going to get through that initial hump of strength training, in my opinion. That's why calisthenics is good.
Just bringing it back to the question you asked before was, should they do calisthenics or should you go lift in the gym to build muscle? I would say I'm a little bit biased, but in my opinion, I feel like you get more bang for your buck with calisthenics because, well, one, you're going to get stronger because you need to get stronger to actually get any of those skills, whether it be handstand push-up, front lever or whatnot. You're getting the skills themselves, so you're going to be able to do basically you're unlocking cool skills and abilities. So that's another component. And then you also naturally improve your physique as well. So you're kind of like hitting every avenue of fitness. Whereas if you're just lifting in the gym, you could have, say, if you pick a weight that's just too light, you might feel like you're doing something effective, but if it's just not the right weight and you're not pushing at the right intensity, the muscle gain will probably be quite minimal, and the strength gain will also be very minimal if you're not hitting the right rep ranges. So you could easily go to the gym and do, lift weights, but your progress might not show for it. You could easily be plateaued for ages, whereas in calisthenics, you'll know if you're doing the wrong thing because you just will not be able to do any of those skills. You're kind of by default forced to build strength. Otherwise, you'll just fail all the skills. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a little bit more bang for
I think
buck.
that calisthenics really is the better way, especially when you are starting out, because the way that I look at it isn't even from like, when you're doing the wrong thing in Cali, but in the gym, it's hard to know when you're doing the wrong thing. You're more prone to get injured if you grab an extra weight that's too heavy. Like when it comes to bodyweight stuff, you can't really hurt your muscles in a sense, in terms of like tearing something or injuring your joints or your back with the weight of just your body, rather than like ego lifting or being unsure of what you can lift.
It's probably a little bit safer. Yeah. You can still injure yourself.
I think it's a bit more different though, like especially when you start out. Like you can't really injure yourself doing pull-ups or push-ups or handstand against the wall, rather than going to the gym and you think you can bench something now and then you try to push it too hard, or you get a dumbbell that's a bit too heavy and cook your shoulder a bit too much. I think it's a lot safer to start off building muscle with just body weight stuff.
And you've probably gone into a gym before and lifted with someone that doesn't do calisthenics, and you'll notice that you'll outlift them on almost every single lift, like without even trying. But they've spent so long in the gym, you haven't even necessarily cared about lifting. We don't care about lifting heavy weight. No. We just want to do cool skills. We just want to be able to like hit front lever pull-ups and get 10 plus reps, handstand push-ups, unlock the planche, all this stuff. And by default, our gym numbers will just go up without us even wanting to. And that's ties back into what I was talking about earlier about getting a good bang for your buck. Your numbers will go up. We don't even try to make them go up. We just naturally get stronger. So I think it's a more efficient way to build muscle.
Yeah.
And strength. Yeah.
Yeah. Going back into what I said about diet, like just speaking personally, if I want to look more muscular, then I'll just eat more and just keep training the way that I train. And if I want to look like really aesthetic, then you just cut, but just keep training the way you train.
Just 4-day fast.
Yeah. Like
Well,
Melbourne Fit Expo.
yeah, but I feel like that's just more to the extreme. Like pretty much all year round, all of us look pretty jacked
Yeah.
all year round.
Yeah.
Like,
For our size.
yeah, we look muscly. Like people come up to us all the time, like, oh, like when we went to the gym, like the first time me and him
Yeah.
went to the gym, people come up to us like, oh, can you help us on how to do like tricep extensions and stuff? I legit said, I don't know how to help you. Ask this guy because I just had no clue because the gym was just
a
not
random.
Yeah, they were asking us like gym tips on how to do like certain exercises, and I was just like, I've got no clue. I don't do this gym stuff.
Yeah.
It just proves that like you can look jacked and look a certain way, and even when you go to the gym, people just assume that you lift weights just because you're big, but we just got it all from body weight.
Yeah. For like 2 years, I didn't see my mate Hector because he went to Spain. This is Red Phone SW, by the way. And within those 2 years, I only did gym training for about 3 months. And he said that I looked way bigger and like much more muscular. And that's just, eating how I eat and then training how I train consistently. That's pretty much all you really need to do. You will gain calisthenics. You will gain muscle in calisthenics passively without even having to really think about it. It just happens.
Yeah, I would say you probably just gained the weight while you were gymming because. And wait, were you doing weights? Was it weight? It was weighted, right?
Yeah, it was
Weighted
weighted
calisthenics.
calisthenics and
Yeah.
it was like hypertrophy.
I would say because if you gain weight doing weighted calisthenics, because the weight that you're carrying is like overall, including your body weight, is quite a big amount. If you gain a little bit of weight, say a couple of kilos, it won't really reduce your numbers much because the total weight is so massive. Whereas if you're doing a front lever, the total weight you're carrying would be just, your body weight, whatever that may be. For me, it's 72 kilos. So even 1 or 2 kilos lighter or heavier, you'll notice that difference. So you're subconsciously incentivized to stay light in statics. Whereas if you're training, say, weighted or in the gym, if you get heavier, your strength, your numbers will go up and it won't hinder your performance, obviously, at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we covered a lot. Yeah. Pretty much answered the question, can you build muscle with calisthenics? It's not all black and white, but
Yes.
yeah.
You won't look like a bodybuilder, but you can definitely build a lot of muscle with Cali.
Yeah. For sure.
Obviously, you just have to eat a lot of food as well.
Yeah.
Don't forget that part.
Yeah.
If you're not in a surplus overall, you won't.
Gain any muscle.
Yeah.
You can still get stronger
as
though.
in muscle size.
You
I
get
mean,
stronger.
you can still gain. You can still body recomp, especially in the beginning. So gain a bit of muscle, but lose a little bit of fat simultaneously. But in terms of overall size,
You still got to be eating a lot.
Gaining mass.
Either in
you
both
need
scenarios
to
though.
obviously be in a surplus.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you compare yourself to bodybuilders on Instagram and you're like, oh, I don't look like them. But then as Tyler said, when you walk into a commercial gym as a calisthenics athlete, it's actually crazy. It's actually crazy how much more aesthetic you are compared to the normal gym bro who's been training in the gym for like 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Like,
I also feel like for a calisthenics athlete, we tend to be a lot more serious than the average gym goer. Like people go to the gym just because it's like a casual hobby, whereas for us, it's like something you're actually genuinely passionate about. Like you think about it often and you really want to progress. Because I guess if you don't treat it that way, you won't really progress very far in calisthenics. So that's, I guess, also another thing to think about.
Yeah.
We're a more serious athlete than the average gym goer is. A lot of people in the gym, they just go there to lift a bit of weight so they feel a little bit better and just maintain general fitness, but they're not extremely serious about it, I guess.
I don't think that would be putting down the question there of like, oh, can I gain muscle doing calisthenics? It's more just overall health.
Yeah, I guess they're not necessarily going for the most efficient method. They're just looking after their health and just doing some general fitness activities.
yeah. Like, I don't know. What's What's an exercise that they would usually do?
Bicep curls,
Yeah.
bench press, maybe some squats. But just like really light and just more functional. I feel like that's equivalent to like the random person walking past an outdoor gym and just going over there and trying to do a couple dips or pull-ups and some push-ups and then leave after like 10 minutes. It's the equivalent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up.
That's pretty good.
Thanks for watching, guys.